Senator Chuck Schumer is calling on the FDA to investigate the energy drink Prime, which he says is being marketed to children and contains the caffeine equivalent of 6 cans of Coca-Cola.
What is that flavour you got there?
Tropical punch, it says.
Oh, Jesus.
Loosely. You've just come from the Maldives. How tropical
it's like swallowing perfume. What is that?
Logan Paul and KSI built a billion-dollar empire off what was basically colored water sold to hyped-up teenagers, and now it's collapsing faster than Logan Paul's credibility after that forest scandal. But here's the twist nobody expected. Prime didn't crash because of lawsuits, health warnings, or the caffeine drama. It crashed because 2 YouTubers genuinely believed they could out-hype the laws of business itself. Prime was supposed to be the Gatorade killer, the drink that would prove influencers could walk into any industry and instantly dominate just by being famous. But instead, it turned into the ultimate reminder that hype without real value is just overpriced disappointment in a shiny bottle. The fall was so obvious that even a high school economics student could have predicted it, and probably would have done a better job running it too. Let's rewind to 2022, when Logan and KSI were at the top of their game, riding waves of fake beef, viral stunts, and endless drama. They honestly thought they'd cracked the secret to printing cash. For years, their formula was simple: spark a controversy, sell something, repeat. So when they decided to jump into the beverage world, they thought, how hard could it be? But here's where it gets wild. They were stepping into an industry dominated by giants with decades of experience and billion-dollar science labs. Gatorade was built by actual scientists who understood hydration and performance. Red Bull, they didn't just make an energy drink, they built a culture, an identity. And then you had Logan and KSI thinking they could just slap their faces on a bottle and compete? The arrogance was unreal. Prime wasn't some groundbreaking formula. It was basically a regular drink dressed up in influencer clothing. They slapped Logan and KSI's faces on the label, poured it into a flashy neon bottle, and sold it like it was the second coming of hydration. They weren't selling electrolytes, flavor, or performance. They were selling belonging. Buying Prime wasn't about quenching thirst, it was about joining the fan club, one overpriced bottle at a time. And for a while, it worked exactly the way they wanted. Those bright, eye-catching bottles weren't made for athletes sweating it out on the field. They were made for selfies, flexes, and clout. They were props for TikToks, background decorations for vlogs, and playground trophies. The packaging screamed louder than Logan Paul at a press conference. Kids didn't even care how it tasted or if it worked, they just wanted to be part of the hype. Because when Logan and KSI said something was cool, their followers treated it like gospel. And let's be real, teenagers will fight over anything if you market it right. Prime's marketing wasn't just smart, it was manipulative genius. They made it feel like a once-in-a-lifetime product, limited drops that sold out in seconds, restocks timed perfectly with their new videos, and exclusive flavors that made kids feel special just for getting one. It was like sneaker culture, but for hydration. And it worked too well. Parents were driving from store to store, hoping to surprise their kids with a single bottle. Imagine that, adults hunting down flavored water like it was gold. And the resellers, oh, they saw an opportunity. Some were flipping bottles online for $50 each, $50 for a plastic bottle of hype, and people were actually paying it. But here's where the story gets wild, and honestly, completely predictable. While Logan and KSI were sitting back counting their profits and calling themselves industry disruptors, they didn't realize they were walking right into the same trap that kills every overhyped brand. The cracks were already forming, and the empire built on excitement was about to face reality. Hard. Their first huge mistake. Thinking that fame could replace quality forever. They truly believed their celebrity power was enough to keep people buying no matter how bad the drink tasted. But reality hit hard when real customers, not fanboys, started leaving reviews. Cotton candy cough syrup was one of the nicer comments floating around online. Another person called it Splenda water with commitment issues, which honestly might be the most accurate review ever. When your product tastes like regret mixed with fake fruit flavor, no amount of influencer hype can save you. Eventually, people get tired of drinking disappointment, no matter whose face is on the bottle. Then came mistake number 2. Greed mixed with recklessness. That's when they dropped Prime Energy, the same flashy branding, but this time packed with a jaw-dropping 200 milligrams of caffeine. That's basically 2 cans of Red Bull squeezed into one colorful can, sold under the same label that kids were already obsessed with. It was the same influencers, the same flashy marketing, just turned up to dangerous levels. They were practically handing out liquid chaos to teenagers and acting like it was no big deal. But the world noticed fast. Schools banned it almost immediately. Parents were furious, demanding answers. Health experts called it irresponsible and unsafe. And Logan, he was forced to go on his own podcast trying to calm the storm, saying it's for adults, while his entire brand looked like it was made for kids. The irony was unreal. The mixed message so strong, it could short-circuit logic itself. And finally, mistake number 3, breaking the oldest rule in business, sustainability. You can't build a lasting empire on fake urgency and borrowed hype. Prime was running on borrowed credibility, a ticking clock of attention. Once the excitement faded, there was nothing left but sugar, caffeine, and confusion. The kind of combo no empire can survive. Prime never built its own lane. It tried to crash into one already owned by legends who'd spent decades perfecting their game. They wanted to take on the Gatorades and Red Bulls of the world without realizing those brands didn't just sell drinks. They built empires. Prime was basically David versus Goliath. Except this time, David showed up with no slingshot, just a megaphone and way too much confidence. And before long, that megaphone started blasting out the sound of lawsuits. First came the class actions. Yeah, the big ones. Claims that Prime contained dangerous PFAS forever chemicals, the kind that linger longer than Logan Paul's half-hearted apologies. Imagine selling something marketed as clean hydration while allegedly mixing in chemicals that stick around for generations. That's not innovation, that's insanity. And to make things worse, they doubled down with deceptive advertising. Calling something zero toxin hydration when it's packed with mystery ingredients doesn't just look shady, it's the kind of move that gets lawyers very interested. Then came the most heartbreaking headline. A lawsuit filed on behalf of a 14-year-old who reportedly ended up in urgent care after drinking 2 cans of Prime Energy. 2 cans, and the kid's heart was racing like he just sprinted a marathon. That moment flipped the public image of Prime overnight. From cool energy drink to controversy in a can. Parents freaked out, schools clamped down, and suddenly Logan and KSI were realizing the real cost of selling hype instead of safety. But the biggest blow, the real knockout punch, came from their own bottling partner, Refresco. These guys had gone all in on Prime, spending millions upgrading their facilities to handle those custom bottles, all based on Logan and KSI's massive promises of endless demand. But when sales tanked, Prime couldn't pay the bill. Refresco came knocking, demanding a jaw-dropping $68 million, and then the leaks dropped. Emails showing Logan scrambling behind the scenes, talking about pivoting to international markets before we're cooked in the US. That's when the panic set in. The empire was crumbling, the hype was fading, and for once, Logan Paul couldn't talk his way out of the mess. The downfall wasn't just predictable, it was poetic. The same investors who were flying in on private jets for meetings back in 2022 suddenly became ghosts when Logan and KSI started calling. The dream that once looked unstoppable was now cracking apart in real time. And somehow, they were the only ones who couldn't see it. While the empire was burning to the ground, they were still on social media bragging about their revolutionary drink, pretending everything was fine. But numbers don't lie, even if Logan Paul does. By 2024, the crash was brutal. UK sales dropped by a shocking 70%. Profits didn't just dip, they collapsed by over 90%. Some retail chains were reporting a 92% drop in weekly sales. Those once hyped 12-packs that used to sell out instantly for $25 were now sitting on clearance shelves for $9. And nobody wanted them. What was once chaos in the aisles had turned into awkward silence at the clearance rack, a graveyard for hype. While Logan and KSI were still posting motivational captions about changing the industry, real beverage brands were quietly cleaning up the mess. Monster, Celsius, and even smaller energy brands started swooping in to grab all those Gen Z customers who realized they could get better drinks for less money, and without boosting Logan Paul's ego in the process. And Gatorade, they didn't even acknowledge Prime's existence. Not during its rise, not during its fall. Because when you own the category, you don't waste time responding to wannabes. Time itself weeds them out. Even the US government got involved. Senator Chuck Schumer stepped in and wrote directly to the FDA, calling out the brand. He warned that these cans looked like Gatorade, but hit like a double espresso, and demanded action. That's when things really started to spiral. Stores began carding anyone who looked under 25 just to buy it, treating Prime like it was alcohol or cigarettes. In just a few months, Prime went from cultural phenomenon to full-blown public health concern. And the craziest part, the downfall wasn't fueled by haters, it was written in the data. Every sale, every markdown, every angry parent, all proof that the hype train had finally run out of steam. The real downfall of Prime didn't happen in courtrooms or in some financial spreadsheet. It happened on social media. The same TikTok users who were once throwing hands over bottles were now posting videos of those same bottles sitting untouched, collecting dust in their fridges. The hype had flipped completely. What was once a flex had become an embarrassment. Even on Amazon, the grape flavor had an embarrassing 2.7-star rating with reviews titled things like chemical aftertaste and existential dread. That's not feedback, that's a cry for help. The internet had officially moved on, leaving Prime stranded like an outdated meme from 2022. But the truth is, lawsuits and bad press didn't kill Prime. They were just symptoms of something deeper. The real disease was a toxic blend of arrogance, fake flavor, and the delusion that fame equals business expertise. Logan and KSI thought they could out-hype the basic laws of business. But here's the thing, you can't build a lasting empire on borrowed credibility and a few viral moments. They promised to lead the hydration revolution, but all they really delivered was intensely flavored disappointment. They marketed to teenagers non-stop, then turned around and sold those same kids caffeine bombs disguised as energy drinks. They signed massive production deals based purely on hype. And when those sales tanked, they couldn't even pay for what they'd promised. Every decision screamed overconfidence mixed with denial. And when the backlash started piling up, instead of fixing the problems or owning their mistakes, they doubled down, blaming the haters and brushing off serious health concerns like it was all just internet noise. That was the final nail in the coffin. Prime's rise and crash wasn't just dramatic, it was educational. A full-blown masterclass in how not to run a business in the influencer era. Hype might get you the first sale, sure, but only quality earns the second. If your product can't stand on its own, no amount of followers can save you. Customers might fall for the flash once, but if they don't like what you're selling, they won't come back, no matter how loud your marketing is. And when your brand overpromises and underdelivers, the same buzzwords you use to sell it become the very weapons used against you in court. That's the real lesson of Prime. It's not just about drinks or influencers, it's about the line between viral fame and real success. Because at the end of the day, hype fades fast, but bad business decisions stick around forever. Logan and KSI completely mixed up noise for strategy, hype for momentum, and fame for real credibility. They thought constant attention was the same as building a solid foundation. But in reality, they were stacking an empire on quicksand. And when it started to sink, they acted shocked, like nobody could have seen it coming. But everyone did. Prime was supposed to prove that influencers could walk into any industry and take over. Instead, it proved that followers don't replace fundamentals, and that clout doesn't equal competence. The moment they stopped trending, the cracks started showing. All that fake confidence, all that branding couldn't hide the truth. You can't cheat business basics, no matter how famous you are. And honestly, watching karma finally catch up to people who thought they were untouchable might just be the most refreshing drink of all. So what do you think about Prime's downfall? Was it doomed from the start, or did they just lose control of their own hype? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment below. See you in the next one.